For my presentation, I chose to talk about the specific ways in which the media is used to deceive the public. I believe there are a couple of different ways this is done. One of the ways is through holding on to news stories that they know they can use at a later time to release them for a bigger viewership and a bigger outcry from the public, by distracting you with different news stories that they know are going to get an outcry, but isn't as important as something else they want covered up, and a couple of different ways that I talk about later in the presentation. The first thing I talked about was the recent migrant caravan crisis that dominated the news cycle right up until the midterms. President Trump had a couple of tweets about it. Border security is something that he campaigned really hard on, so it makes sense to suddenly start getting people maybe a little frightened about what's going on at the border, so they get out and vote in the midterms for the side that campaigns on better border security. So it makes sense that, suddenly right before the midterms, let's talk about this thing so that people go out and vote. And since then, it's barely been in the news other than when they reached the border, and that only got a little bit of coverage, and that's what we were waiting for this whole time. The second thing I talked about was how politicians know when to release something in order for it to get more or less coverage. On Black Friday, the Trump administration came out with one of the most in-depth climate reports it's ever done, and it went against everything they've been saying since his campaign. And so they decided to release this on Black Friday during the holidays when people are out shopping, maybe traveling, home with family, not paying attention to politics. And it actually backfired because people knew exactly what they were doing. This is a short clip from The Simpsons, and I was going to play it because it's not very long, but I can't get it to come through the recording clearly. And it's really satirical. It's a group of supposedly media executives talking about the next big thing they're going to put in the news to scare people into just staying in their homes and watching their TV shows. And they come up with the cat flu. The Simpsons have a lot better writers than me, so it's a lot funnier when you watch it. The third thing is a YouTube video, and it's a lot longer. It's about 5, maybe 10 minutes, and it really just talks about how, especially during campaigns, the people who are campaigning have teams, and the teams know exactly what they have on the other person, and they know exactly what the other person has on them, and they know how to use that in order to get the most advantage on their side. And it talks about the most recent campaign and the strategies that each candidate used and why each one was successful or not. The third thing is, or the next thing is kind of just a joke, but I think it encompasses what I've been saying. Time Magazine is a big Time Magazine. Time Magazine is a big Time Magazine. Time Magazine is a bigger magazine, and they've been known to have some really in-depth and intense pieces, but then they go out and tweet something like, Selena Gomez just switched her Instagram settings to private. And this guy is really what this presentation is all about. He comes back with, there's a slave trade going on in Libya. Why is whatever Selena Gomez is doing on Instagram important? Pay attention to the big things, not stuff that really isn't important. And the final thing I wanted to end on really just kind of touches on everything I'm saying. It's a quote by Sir Tom Stoppard. He's a knight in the United Kingdom. And he's a famous writer and playwright, and he says, "The whole notion of journalism being an institution whose fundamental purpose is to educate and inform and even, one might say, elevate, has altered under commercial pressure, perhaps into a different kind of purpose, which is to divert and distract and entertain. And I think, he starts off by talking about how journalism used to be a really solid fundamental. It had morals and it had a code, and it went out and it brought back facts, and it gave those facts to the general public, and it could be trusted, and it's what they base their ideals and opinions on. But now, thanks to commercial pressure, I think that's a big part of this. They just want to see the money coming in, and whatever is getting money is what they're going to be presenting. And what is getting that money is entertainment and stuff that really distracts and doesn't focus on the big picture. And that's what I was trying to say with this whole presentation. And I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.